in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, our dear taxpayers and our dear viewers, we apologize for starting a bit late, 20 minutes into the time as I promised, because due to unavoidable circumstances. But I take this opportunity to welcome you here to another edition of Tax Mchuzi. My name is Kiza Alexander, and I'm your host for today. And we are going to be discussing, or we're going to understand employment income and pay as you earn computation. In this edition of Tax Mchuzi, we are going to be discussing that and getting to know our own people, especially the biggest percentage of Ugandans who are in jobs. They do not understand how we calculate pay as you earn. Some are always asking whether this money is remitted to URA or their bosses often keep this money to themselves and it in their businesses or in their companies. But today I have a seasoned tax professional, an expert who has been in this for a long time, has been around for some time working in different areas of tax administration and management, and as well as tax collection, especially with a bias in tax literacy. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome my guest on the show, who is going to introduce herself, and she is often a regular in this course with her expertise, and I know we are going to benefit a lot from her. Ladies and gentlemen, with me is the seasoned and renowned Hafsa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And good morning, our viewers. We are glad to be with you once again, making more clarity in certain areas. And today we are putting more emphasis on employment income, pay as you earn, are you in employment, do you know what we compute, do you know which allowances are subjected to employment income? So that is basically what we are going to look at in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you have heard from the expert, as I earlier said, keep in mind that today we are to the end of the love of math, the month of love. That's February. And we anticipate that as we discuss this, you should have known exactly how far it's going on with your boss if that pay as you earn has been deducted. Now, I need to ask a few things that will make us understand, and our expert is here to tell us exactly. So if I may ask you, Afwa, what is employment? If we talk of employment, the taxman's dictionary, what is it?
Ideally, employment is a source of income. But this is a source of income when we have two parties. We have one who is willing to employ, and the other who is willing to be employed. So this one is the employer, and the other one is the employee. So at the end of the day, they craft what will guide them, and this is in the service contract or in the appointment letter, clearly specifying which position am I employing you on, and how much am I going to pay you, and if the allowances, which allowances will you be entitled to, will you be entitled to leave, and all that. So whenever we talk about employment, we expect certain things to be in place, like the service contract, the employment contract, and so that we are very clear, the appointment letter, when is the employment effective. So those are some of the things we expect to see as a package in employment, so that we can best understand what relationship do these two people have. Yes.
So that means any money that I get from my employer, is it taxed? Like if I wake up in the morning and my employer is giving me a gift of 100,000 to go and buy myself nice clothes, will I need to pay on that amount of money to URA?
Ideally, if your employer is giving you cash, and when they are giving you cash, by the law we add it back, because it's not an allowance. It's not an allowance that is exempted from taxes. Because when they are giving you money to go and buy clothes, how sure are you that you'll buy clothes? What if you buy clothes for 80,000 and the 20 is just left in your pocket? So to rule out all that, we just add back those allowances and get a lump sum that we apply to the right tax bracket. Because pay as you earn is income tax in one or the other, and it is progressive in nature. The more you earn, the more you pay. The lesser you earn, the lesser you will pay. Yes.
I get you. So there's always what they call benefit in kind.
Yes.
What is that as per the taxman?
Let me just give you a clear example or a simpler one that even our viewers can get. You enter into an employment contract and your employer is very clear. I'm going to give you medical. And instead of giving you cash on your salary, that maybe this 500,000 is what I contribute to for medical, maybe on a monthly basis. Your employer will sign an arrangement with a service provider in the medical industry, in the health sector. Maybe these are hospitals or clinics. And whenever you go to get that particular service, it's a service you consume in kind.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So who meets the cost if there's any tax involved on those services in kind?
Ideally, a service that is consumed in kind is not taxable.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Because by the time I go to get that service, it is very clear that I am ill.
Good.
And therefore, as per the arrangement with my employer, they sign that they will treat me to a particular tune. Maybe if it's an annual arrangement, they are treating me to a tune of maybe 3 million or something like that. There's an upper ceiling if I'm an outpatient. And maybe if I'm hospitalized, still there's an upper ceiling. So with that, we do not add it back because ideally you've gotten the medicines. But when they give you cash, it is not that you will get sick every month. So that cash may end up doing some other thing. It becomes your income in one or the other. There are people who take long to get sick.
True.
And when they get sick, they maybe go for the local herbs and they take mururuza, they take all that. And at the end of that day, they rarely see a doctor or a nurse. So if it is in kind and it's medical in that particular arrangement, we don't add back the amount. Same applies to lunch. If there is
the food we eat,
yes, if the service provider is contracted by the employer and it is very clear everybody is going to eat the same food at the same time, and the benefit is provided for at arm's length, it means that we are all going to consume it in the same space. So for that, you do not tax. You do not say that maybe Alexandra is consuming 7,000 a day, and therefore I multiply maybe by 24 days, depending on the days in the month. That one we do not. But if you bring your lunch and you say that maybe a particular kind of staff are going to eat, it's not for everybody, then that becomes different. We are meant to add back. Let me give you an example. Those that we might add back, the things like motor vehicles.
Yes.
When your employer assigns you a vehicle, ideally, this vehicle, unless when they assign you the vehicle, unless you're going to find it at work and you use it to execute and the vehicle stays at work, that is different. But if I give you a vehicle, you go with it at home, you stay with it over the weekend, you're going for a wedding, you use it, you're going in the village, you use it. That particular staff who has been assigned that will end up computing that motor vehicle benefit. And there's a formula that helps us compute it because it's a benefit.
Yes. It becomes a benefit.
Exactly.
You can literally use it to go to your farm and
exactly. Then how will I compute? Because when it goes to your farm, there are expenses involved. Maybe there's even fuel, there's depreciation, wear and tear, and all that. So at the end of the day, for such cases, we end up computing the motor vehicle benefit and we add it back onto the salary. But if it's a vehicle, like when I come to work and I ask for a vehicle, I'm going for an engagement to engage a particular group, and the vehicle brings me back here. That means there is no benefit.
There's no benefit.
It has brought me back where it took me. Then now I am going to handle another task.
I get you.
That is different. So we have allowances that may be attached to people's salaries. But at the end of the day, we look at it on an individual basis and we see to what extent is the allowance provided.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we have discussed that. So as an employee, should I go ahead and find out from my employer if he's really submitting or remitting this amount of money they deduct from me every month to URA, or I just need to keep quiet and wait for?
It is okay because it is your right.
Okay.
One, to know how much has been paid on your behalf. Because the arrangement is your employer is a conduit,
Okay.
or is an agent,
Yes, yes.
to give us that money they have deducted. But at the end of the day, they've deducted it from your income, not from the employer's income.
Yes.
If you said maybe you're paying me a gross of say 4 million, but when I apply the pay rates, I may end up going home with about maybe 2.7 or something like that. So you need to know, has this reached? In the same way, you need to know whether NSSF has reached wherever it has to go, and maybe local service tax. It's in the same breath. This client can come if they need to know, provided they have their TIN.
Yes.
Because now it's very clear in the pay as you earn returns, you cannot remit the return and tell us this is a group of the people I employ without TINs, because we want to make it simpler. When HAFSA comes, when I just put in her TIN, it will run how much they have remitted on behalf of HAFSA. Because just imagine it is the employer remitting and you're about 2,000 employees. So when they give us a lump sum, the way we used to do it way back in those years, it's difficult for that lump sum of say about 100 million to know that HAFSA has a 2 million, Alexander has 700,000, because probably our salaries are not the same. Then the other one has 400. It's a little difficult. But with the TIN, which is a unique identifier, that's a taxpayer identification number, it is very clear that your employer, one of the things they have to tell you before you even start working is to furnish them with the TIN.
Okay.
Because they will not be able to complete that pay as you earn return without keying you in your TIN. And it even helps you because that TIN is like your account in URA. Once they remit the pay as you earn on a monthly basis, it will go and sit on your TIN. Okay. Once you come to us, for us, we run the TIN and show you in January, this is what came. In February, this is what came. Because at times, never know, you may not even know when you will need that.
Very true. Very
but
true.
You will need it.
You
Ask
need
me
one
in situations.
time.
At times, there are people who probably applying for visas. And when you're applying for a visa, at times you need to substantiate that actually it's a visit or it's an education activity I'm going for. I am coming back. You know, most of the countries need to be very clear whether you won't get lost in their country. So in most cases, those are things that actually are substantive. You say, by the way, I'm even employed here by so and so. And the fact that I'm employed, I am a citizen who has been remitting pay as you earn for the last 10 years. There is no way I am going to disappear because I'm employed. And I have to come back to my land.
They have source of income here.
These are some of the things that they look at. Some embassies look at and say, I think it's viable for somebody to get maybe this facility.
So literally you're saying, apart from using your tax or your tax as for construction of roads, it still helps you as an individual when you want to advance your career, when you want to move to a different country, when you want to do something else. So we as Ugandans, we need to appreciate this. In most cases, Ugandans will struggle when you say, what does my money do? What does my money do? This being a direct tax, it also puts you ahead as a person of good standing in the society, as an outstanding person who is contributing to the development of your country. So that we need to hold up this with joy, and we also need to get it with the happiness that we are also making something great, the development of this country. Since an embassy one time will ask you for that and to prove that you have been contributing to the development of your country. So I think after I hadn't asked you exactly, what is pay as you earn? When you say pay as you earn, what is it?
Pay as you earn is a tax that we pick from one's employment income. Once that employment income, the gross employment income, exceeds 235. Because the threshold for employment income is now 235. Way back in the years, when URA started in 1991, I think up to about early 2000s, the threshold for pay as you earn was 130,000. And that meant that I was meant to have many contributors. Because if my threshold is too low, that means I am putting people in that bracket. So along the way, as our legislators had to legislate on our behalf, they felt that the cost of living is going up. And in the event that employers may not be in position to increase their employees' salaries in proportion to the cost of living, at least let us up our game and increase the threshold so that we can exempt a number of people who are still earning lesser figures.
So let me understand in a layman's language. You have said the threshold is 235,000
currently.
Meaning if I earn 230,000,
Yes,
I don't pay as you earn.
you're below the threshold.
My employee shouldn't deduct any amount of money called pay as you earn from my salary unless it's NSSF.
They are not supposed to deduct unless it's NSSF or local service tax. And the local service tax goes to the local government or to KCCA.
That's the
Kampala.
KCCA or your
ideally,
district.
it is meant to further certain activities, maybe from the place where you come from and all that, as in simple development.
Okay.
But when I am looking at pay as you earn, ideally, if you're not exceeding 235, your employer is not meant to collect any pay. However, they are meant to reflect you on the pay as you earn return.
Oh.
Because the salary is not static.
Yes.
Today you're earning
increase,
230, then maybe all of a sudden the following month you're earning 300,000.
And maybe you've got a benefit that needs to be added back.
Exactly.
Possibly.
Exactly. You will have entered the taxing bracket. So what we need to know is how many employees do you have and how much do they earn? Because the system is even very sensitive when you are filling in the pay return. Once you put their figures that don't exceed 235, they won't compute any pay for that particular person.
Okay. They will not. Just show a zero.
Because the computations are fixed there, the formulas.
So, meaning that everyone who is, anyone who has people that have given jobs or any employer who has employees, they qualify to pay as you earn?
Exactly.
Or they're somewhere exempted?
Because we may not have those that are exempted unless their income is clearly exempted, like those who work in missions, like those who are into maybe embassies, because at times the embassies are not very comfortable in taxing the people they employ. That is what we have seen, though they are locals. So at times we get issues with them that for us our contracts did not include anything like pay as you earn, and you're coming up now, yet we have employed these people, unless you talk to them separately to see whether they can do their filing independently.
On their own.
But at times it's even difficult because pay as you earn is meant to be remitted by the employer.
Yes.
So at times it's a little difficult for such, and maybe in section 21 we look at where exemption is. For example, our members of parliament, their salaries, their allowances are exempted except the salary.
Only the salary?
Yes.
So
you look at those who are working in the police force, those who are into the UPDF, those who are into the prisons, their salary is exempted for that particular employment. If they have income outside, you have a hotel, you have a saloon, you have rentals, that one is not exempted.
I get it.
But what you source by virtue of you rendering that service is what is exempted.
Okay, so that brings me to another question. Allowances, part-time employees, then even non-nationals, how are they treated with pay as you earn?
Part-time employees, we are looking at somebody being a part-time because you don't spend all your working hours in a particular place.
Exactly.
Maybe you just bump in and give us maybe 2 or 3 hours, then you go and spend the biggest part of your time elsewhere. It's mostly evident in the evenings when maybe people have where they work 8 to 5, and in the evenings maybe they go to teach, they go to do something different. So whatever they earn there where they are part-timing is equally taxed. And it's taxed at 30% because that is regarded as secondary income. As per the PAYE regulation, it's regarded as secondary income.
Let me understand. So if I have 2 jobs,
yes,
I part-time at Makero University, that's my primary employer, then I go to Bustema University. So and you tax my money at Makerere University, again my money at Bristol University.
Yes, unless you
And-
can be faithful enough to tell your main employer that I earn a 500,000 from
Bustema.
Bustema every month. Kindly add it here and gross it at once. But in most cases, you won't find that.
Rarely.
That is why we say anything that is regarded as secondary income, it's not from your primary source, it's taxed at 30%. And that is what is in the regulation. Let me give you an example. We have people who are councillors. You know these councillors, the political ones, those people.
Okay, yes.
Babe Simba, all those ones. What happens is whatever allowance they get is taxed. And when it is taxed, still at 30%. Normally, they are not comfortable, but it is on an assumption. When you're a councillor, it's not a full-time job.
Yeah, it isn't.
What do you do
when you're not in
when you're not
castle?
a councillor? Because let me give you councillors, they have sittings maybe once every 2 weeks. 2 weeks, they have one sitting. So in the other days, the 13 days, what are you doing? And how do you survive? Because this is not a full-time job that is giving you a salary. They'll give you maybe an allowance, sitting allowance, maybe a transport allowance. And transport allowance, I'm not even sure that you have even incurred transport. You may have walked up to where the meeting is. There are many, many factors there. So what is done, they lump up their allowances and they tax them at 30%. So normally they make a lot of noise because it's uncomfortable, but that is what is in the regulation.
I see most people in the world really don't enjoy paying taxes, even when a tax is as old as mankind. But to hope with time they
anything
shall.
that reduces
Your earning,
income, anything that reduces your profit, if you're in business, I mean, it is natural.
It's natural.
You become a little uncomfortable.
I get you.
Yes,
so, and the non-nationals also pay if from Somalia,
non-nationals,
or
one,
Ethiopia.
in our payers you earn computation, we have computations for resident employees and for non-resident employees. These rates are not the same. So the story starts if you're not a national. It is very clear you have come to work, go through the procedures. Foreign Affairs documents you. They give you a work permit, clearly mentioning where you are going to work. Because a work permit is intentional. It's not open. That whole can go here and go here. It's clear I am going to work in Uganda Revenue Authority. I'm going to work in maybe KCCA. I'm going to work in URSB. Maybe because of the expertise. That's what why they're hiring you. So when you come, ideally, we'll subject that employment income to the non-resident rates that are there.
Oh,
Yes.
I get you now.
Yes.
So you had talked about the threshold.
Yes.
And is there only the different brackets that if we have 235,000 and me who is earning 10 million, are we taxed at the same rate or the different rates?
Not really. We have brackets.
Okay.
The first one is if you do not make 235,000 a month, as in gross, we don't have any payment there. It is nil.
It's nil. If
you make 235, if your income exceeds 235,000 per month, but does not exceed 335,000. For example, if you're earning 300,000, you fall within that second bracket. And how do I tax you? I will ascertain the excess of 235 against your salary. And when you get the excess is 300,000 minus 235, that is 65,000. And I apply 10%.
Okay.
That is your pay as you earn for that month. The next bracket is you exceed 335,000, but you do not exceed 410.
At 10.
So here, let me imagine your salary is about 410. So I will ascertain the excess of 335 against your salary of 400 and maybe 10.
Okay.
And there I will get about 75,000. And I will apply the 75,000 to 20%. And I will add a 10,000 after that. So I will continue if your salary, your gross employment income exceeds 410, but doesn't exceed 10 million. For example, you're earning 2 million. I need to ascertain how much your salary exceeds 410, and that is 1,590,000. I will apply it to 30% and add 25,000. And when your income, your gross employment income, exceeds 10 million, ideally, if it exceeds 10 million, I will first subject, for example, if you're earning 12 million, I will first subject this 10 million, the first one, to this bracket I've talked about.
Okay.
Then I will subject the 2 million. The excess is 2 million. That exceeds 10 million here. So I'll subject the 2 million onto 10%. The more you earn, the more you pay.
The more you earn, the more you pay.
That is why it's called
So we don't have a ceiling somewhere that if I earn 40 million or 50 million,
ideally
someone
use the same.
Then it will be the same.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that.
Because ideally I'll be applying a percentage to a higher figure.
Okay. So is it a higher percentage or it's constant 30%?
It's constant 30%, but
above
I'm applying
30%.
it to a higher figure.
So
Just
it'll be a
because
bit
the
higher.
excess of 10 million, I'll end up applying a 10% there because I'm looking at 10 million. But when you exceed 10, I'm looking at how much exceeds 10. Here it was at 2 million. And that is where I say I apply to 10%. Then I'll add whatever I'll get in the two computations. And that is your pay as you earn.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as we can listen from our expert of today, he has taken us through the computations for our pay as you earn. In case you may need more information about this, do not hesitate to visit our website www.ura.go.ug. Then click on tax education. And if you click on tax education, search for employment income. In this, you will be able to read a word per word. And more so, you can visit our YouTube channel. On this channel, you'll find so many videos that are explaining in detail how this is calculated and what you should pay to and the different benefits. You can be at liberty to wind the video and seek to inform till you understand. And do not take it just for granted that maybe your employer is remitting this money. Be a responsible citizen. It's your right to know that your money is reaching the exact destination and you are enjoying your benefits from your taxes. You are on the way. We are enjoying security. You are enjoying health services. You are enjoying nice roads. And wherever you are able to do business even after work. We are going for a very short break, and after this short break, we shall come for a very few 2 to 3 questions, and then we shall be coming to an end of this program.
Simply go to the Google Play or Apple Store, search for the IFRIS app, download and install it, log in with your TIN and password, and you're good to go. The IFRIS mobile app is here to make invoicing and receipting easy. Download now.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Welcome back from the shortest break we have had, and with the last part of this webinar. We are on with my guest of the day, the tax expert. As before I can ask her the next question, I'm encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen, to take interest in the different campaigns that Uganda Revenue Authority is running. When you buy something, make sure you ask for an e-receipt, and make sure when you get whatever you buy, it's being issued to you. Do not leave it to the shopkeeper. Do not leave it in the supermarket. Do not leave it in the restaurant. Do not leave it in that bar. Have it ready with you, and it will help us to be able to follow up or the value of what you bought, the VAT that you pay on the goods you are consuming have been taken care of. I thank you. My dear expert Hafsa,
Yes.
what are the final concluding words you'd be giving our dear employers and employees? What should the employees in this month we are starting tomorrow, they should look after, and what should they take at heart as our dear taxpayers?
Thank you very much. For employers, first, let me kind of remind you that whenever you get any new employee, that person you have chosen to employ, one, ensure that they give you or furnish you with their TIN. That's a taxpayer identification number. And once they don't have it, it is well, you can guide them or come to URA. We have the instant TIN where we issue a TIN within 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that is done. But ensure that you, the employer, give them your TIN as the employer, because we'll be required to know where the source of income is going to come from. So by default, we would need the TIN of the employer so that it can help us. And once you have a national ID, all is well. That ID alone can work. And if they don't have a national ID, kindly, because they are not yet on your payroll, that means you need to give them an appointment letter that confirms that effective this date, you are willing to employ Hafsa as so and so, and this is going to be their salary. You are committing that you're the employer. That's what we want in that letter. Okay. So kindly give them the employment contract or service contract or appointment letter, so that they can maybe add on a passport, a valid passport, a valid driver's license, so that we have the two identifications once they don't have the national ID. Because with the instant TIN, it's very clear the national ID works alone. But you may find yourself that this person maybe has never gotten the national ID, or it got misplaced, and the opportunity has come. So URA is flexible. We look at other types of IDs that can help you get a TIN. So once that is done, ensure that whenever you are filing your payers and return, include every employee's TIN in that payers and return. Secondly, gross up all you give them. Okay. All the allowances in cash, kindly gross them up. Because once you don't gross them up, and we discover later, then the burden is on you, the employer, because it will cause an assessment. Okay. Because it is you, because this employer doesn't know what you have included there. All they know is you paid them their salary and deducted a particular amount. So it is you who best understands the game. Ensure that whatever allowance you give each employee, indicate it in the schedules that are there, so that it can give us the gross employment income that we have to apply to the different tax brackets depending. And to the employee, ensure that you furnish your TIN with your employer. Be keen, maybe once in a while or every quarter or 6 months, visit URA. It's well. Visit URA, because there's a facility on portal where you can get it and see, but visit URA for simplicity. Any station can help you. You just enter with your TIN. It's your right to know how much they have submitted on your behalf. Exactly. Enter with your TIN and tell whoever is on the front desk, kindly, I would like to know what is on my TIN. How much payers you and they have declared here. And even knowing what is on my TIN, yes, I applied for the TIN, but I want to know what information. Kindly remind me. My phone number might have changed. My email might have changed. And maybe that's the time I could do an amendment to ensure that I'm giving you the current details. And for those who move from one employment to another, sincerely, you need to help us change the employer. Because by the time you registered for a TIN, you said you work with URA. Then maybe after 5 years, you have shifted to another employer. Possibly. Exactly. Kindly adjust your TIN, come and amend to give us a right employer. And in case you run out of employment, kindly let us know. And if you don't have any other business, kindly let us know. You can come to URA, maybe put it in writing and request us maybe to deactivate the TIN in the event that you don't have any other income. You don't have any other employment, you're not doing any business. Until you sort yourself, If you come up with something to do, then you'll come back and we'll need to
And
reactivate
okay.
that same
So I was
tin.
wondering how to
Exactly.
deactivate my tin, what happens? So I can come back and it's reactivated.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Than leaving it there, we are not seeing what is coming out from the employer's side. We don't know, and some employers may not even inform us that, you know, I laid off maybe these 5 or 10. So at times when we look at the return, we are not understanding, isn't this person no longer paying these people? So at least when, as an employer, if you let us know, put it in writing that so and so these were laid off, these retired by age, and our retirement age is maybe 45 or 50, whatever it is, so that we can understand you and move with you.
Okay.
To avoid these queries every now and then.
Like, you knowing we have very many taxpayers, yet some
Exactly.
already moved on and redundant, and
exactly,
that
on the-
hurts
on
our
the
economy.
register. Yes.
I thank you, Hafsa, and thank you for creating time to be part of this amidst your busy schedule, and thank you for being available to educate Ugandans. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been live on Twitter, live on LinkedIn, and live on YouTube channel. You can still go forth and get these recordings on those particular platforms I've talked about. I will be able to follow this as well one by one. It has been me for this episode of Tax Mchuzi. Do not forget to follow us on those particular channels, and always ask us a question, we shall answer. Visit us on our offices, which is nearby. We shall be available. We are your workers. Do not fear to ask us anything wherever you meet us, and we shall happily give you the information that will help you to be compliant in your tax matters, be it concerning employment or any other income or anything else concerning taxes. We are at your service. It has been Kiza Alexander, your host for today, and my guest has been Hafsa. Till we meet again in the next episode, look out for them on the URA channels. I thank you.